Hey everyone, it is Soul with some more Horrific Vision commentary. We're continuing our series of videos where I take a class that I'm not all that familiar with, gear it up mainly through outdoor and Horrific Vision content, and then complete a 5-chest run. Today we're in Stormwind on my Discipline Priest. His item level is 441, with an emphasis mostly on item level. Hey! His Azeroth traits are based mostly on damage procs and, of course, item level, pretty much any extra DPS that I can squeeze out. He is rocking a maximum Echoing Void and a level 1 Void Ritual as corruption traits. His cloak is level 11 and his neck is 73. Crucible rank 3 is his main essence, Unwavering Ward rank 2 is there for sanity resistance, and rank 1 Ever Rising Tide is there for a stat proc, so there's not a whole lot to work with there. For talents, he's using Schism, Body and Soul, Mindbender, Shining Force, Sins of the Many, Divine Star, and Lenience. He's also got Elite Extermination unlocked on his Titanic Research tree. He's using his own Fort buff and Ghastly Goulash, and he's armed with the Kebab food for sanity restoration. You'll see me eat that every now and then. And with that, let's get started. So this happened to be the last run out of a lot of vision runs that I did throughout the day during a stream. This is like I said, this is the very last one. I had just failed the previous one from just dying to damage on this character, so we'll see how it goes this time. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive. I don't have an invisibility potion. That's something that I regularly pop here. Instead, I just kind of start running through, and the tactic that I'm going with, because of Echoing Void, is to just use globals as much as possible to increase my stacks of Echoing Void so I can start getting those stacks, and whenever they start detonating, I'll be doing some extra damage. So the idea here is to use Schism on big mobs, such as these guys here with their damn stuns and shields and what have you. But basically any important mobs that seem threatening, to focus and take those out first, dot up the rest, and pretty much hope for the best, I suppose. Divine Star helps to kind of smooth out some of the ad damage, or some of the ads that are maybe at low health, but I don't want to maybe redot them, or if I run out of Echoing Void stacks. Same thing goes for Mindbender. He helps a lot. I guess I gave him a gender. He helps a lot with cleaning things up. So you can see here that the control there, it's kind of haphazard because I don't have silences and things like that, but I do have Shining Force to work with. So throughout these runs, I've been regularly neglecting to take a look at the right vial to look at. And for a character of this level where I don't have the Gift of the Titans buff yet, which really would trivialize a lot of these runs, I really want to try to take advantage of things that I can whenever I can. So here I'm kind of trying to take a look. So the black liquid is bad. That means the green liquid is good. So I'm going to be on the lookout for green vials. And in the meantime, I'm on my way. So it's not a lot for me to work with. The encounters here are typically slow, even if I'm working with a Discipline Priest and the reduced health. So here, instead of my normal pulls, I'm kind of starting here, dotting these guys up, making sure to focus on one of the ads because one of them has more life than the others. Those corruption puddles actually hurt. That's something that I realized in this particular run, that, you know what, standing in them actually hurts. So here I start with my first of several kebabs that I'm going to be having, because I'm pretty much squeezing whatever I can out of here with whatever I have. So right here, I'm kind of going through the regular practice where I'm taking certain focus on deadlier mobs, such as the weaponsmiths and the heart piercers. You can see that I use bigger attacks on those. But as for the others, I just make sure to apply dots, make sure I'm good there. Take care of the weaponsmith, keep him focused, get him down, hope that Echoing Void will do the job, and then just kind of move on. So big pulls here are a little bit different. I'm just trying to chain as much as I can. Note that when I pull enough ads, Echoing Void starts to split off damage even more than normal. So with those diminishing returns, Echoing Void doesn't do a whole lot, but overall it does lend a great deal to my overall damage throughout this run. I'm dealing with dark delusions here, which isn't a big deal. I'm moving regularly enough that it's not something that would really bother me, except in certain cases or if I'm trying to like click things, and that could be a little bit troublesome. So after clearing out a couple of these mobs, then it's time to engage the elite over here. Elite Extermination is going to restore a good chunk of my sanity, but I'm still down to about 2/3, which is a little bit faster from a couple of my previous attempts. Running out of this can be a little bit troublesome because um, my corruption is a little bit higher than normal. Thankfully, with Body and Soul, that's where I try to pop that for moments where I need to get some speed boost. It's not primarily for damage reduction, although that does help too. It's mostly so I can get out of the way of stuff a little bit faster. You can see that I was getting dazed a little bit. That's where Body and Soul would really come in handy. And I'm also trying to reposition myself quite a bit so I can get some maximum damage using Divine Star. You can see there that it does a pretty good number on enemies, but of course I was popping everything else too. Mindbender was going, Dots were rolling, Echo and Void was going as well. But with most of the packs here cleared out, it's time to get out of here. I think I screwed up though. You can see on the minimap that I'm kind of walking away from one of the dots. I think I just totally forgot about that one this time. But this is the last pack. I probably should have got these a little bit sooner too. I could have chained all those together, and I still would have been in a pretty good spot. So after getting this 7th bomb, that's when I realized, oh crap, 7 out of 8. Uh-oh. So now it's time to turn around. Unfortunately, in the meantime, I haven't. It looks like I didn't find any green vials in this particular stretch. The previous one I did, and I thought I was doing well, but then I ended up biting off a lot more than I could chew. And here I'm taking in another kebab because I know that even after killing the elite, I'm still not going to have enough stuff. Um, I'm still not going to max out on my sanity. So here we go. Yeah, kind of unfortunate there weren't any vials over here. Would have helped out. It would have helped out a bit. And you're going to see it in a little bit, just what I mean about being a little bit more aggressive, but being very careful about pulls too, especially on a priest, someone who's a little bit squishier than others, especially at this gear level. Keep in mind that the gear that drops from a 5 chest is 445, which kind of makes sense from an upgrade standpoint, but there may be quite a few players that are waiting to get maybe Gift of the Titans, because that would be an extremely that's extremely helpful. So here I'm making sure to engage the eyeball outside of the field because the field does do quite a bit of damage if you just happen to stand in it. I think in an earlier attempt I was just kind of standing in there trying to see, oh yeah, I can go ahead and take this guy out. And I end up taking quite a bit of damage. So as soon as I get in here, we're in Old Town now. I dot up the light hunters here, and I engage the pack to the left. So that way I can start engaging with these informants here and try to get rid of their nasty, nasty stun a little bit early on. We're dealing with split personality here, not lead and foot, thankfully. I am taking quite a bit of damage here, though. Things are looking a little bit sketch. I pop my pain suppression to make sure that I can handle this. But this was a little bit messy. I think in hindsight, it would have been much better for me to take care of those 2 melee classes before engaging with the second pack. I didn't really gain much out of this. So now we're engaging the elite, and I want to make sure that I keep a pretty decent distance, or I'm prepared to run away from her AOE attack. Both of them, I should say. And funny enough, Aleri, now that I think about this, I think as a priest, I could have used a little bit of a trick where I can just use Fade and let the enemies attack Alaria for a little bit if I happen to be in trouble. That's something I did not think of. So if that would possibly help, then great. Because there are instances, like let's say for example, if I think I'm going to hit split personality a number of times here. But whenever I hit it, I get dazed. And when I get dazed, that means I lose all aggro. So that means they're going to go for a Larry instead. So that actually could be a useful tactic in the future. So I opt to go for these hunters again by themselves. Or try to separate these poles because it's right here where I had already taken them out, but there were executioners, and you'll see me fight another one in a little bit. These executioners, they do incredible damage. And if they're combined with other mobs, they can be a lot of trouble. That's how I died in my previous attempt. But I took those guys out. I took out that last informer. More hunters come out though, and this is the big thing. This is actually kind of a big deal. This is something that you definitely want to be mindful of as you're going through this particular stretch. Stealth classes and whatnot, they don't really have to worry nearly as much because they can skip through a lot of these packs in Old Town. But I could not because I had no potions or anything. At the same time, though, trying to engage this particular boss, and all of a sudden to have light hunters or rogues spawn on top of you, can be a lot of trouble too. And there's one of several disorients that I'm going to get hit by, and another light hunter. So, like I said, you want to be really careful if you're trying to stealth through all the way, or if you're trying to use an invisible potion. For now, though, things looking pretty okay. I'm focusing mostly on getting the executioner down, as well as the informant. I don't want to get stunned while the executioner is just going to town on me. I happen to use a shining force to get rid of the touch of the abyss. Unfortunately, decided to do it again. So you're seeing right there for just a moment when I got disoriented, the other mobs they were going for O'Leary instead. So that's something you can probably take a little bit of an advantage of, depending on, if you happen to be on your priest or if you happen to be watching this but you play other classes. So here I opt to pop an orb for safety, and then engage Shaw. So for at least the moment, I'm not, I don't really need to care about sanity damage. It's being immediately restored, but it didn't really gain me much. Shaw happened to disappear fairly quickly, which is always an annoying thing. It's especially annoying if you're using some sort of big cooldown like Penance and you only get maybe one tick off before he disappears, and then you lose a little bit of, you lose that much damage. Overall, though, at least as a healer, he is fairly easy to burst down. I opt to not use my Mindbender for this because there's so many occasions where he just kind of disappears, and I believe my Mindbender wouldn't be very useful here. But with him down, my sanity bar is full. I have 2 orbs left, and it's time to go back to the cathedral. So far, so good. I mean, I at least made it through the first area, which is a lot better than what I did previously. All right, so now it's off to the trade district, and I'm going to go the route that I've been usually going these days. I make sure to dot up both mobs here. There have been occasions where I would run by, hoping that I would get aggro on both, and the tentacle itself wouldn't aggro at all. So that can kind of set you back a little bit, given how frustrating it can be to fight the tentacles. So I opt to grab some of these bigger mobs over here, of course using Schism and other big cooldowns to get some good initial damage in while just dotting up the small stuff. Most of the stuff here is small. The only things to really worry about would be at least one Tormentor. You probably want to take one of those down, and then there's of course those darn tentacles. But with the way that their health is, I can sometimes be a little bit hesitant as to whether or not I want to use a Schism, knowing that it's going to die fairly quickly. So here's one green liquid that I'm able to score. Swing. And then let's go for the next big pack. So I do my best to make sure that I have dots applied on the tentacles before like anything else, before engaging these mobs, because they're at least not going to go anywhere. As for the tentacles, if I can apply or reapply dots in the meantime, all the better. The dots end up doing quite a bit of damage overall in this vision. But with those guys down, I'm ready to proceed to the next part, which can be a little bit frustrating. So I dot these guys up, they're not a big deal. And then I go for the main guy. I don't have great cooldowns available for me, but I try to pop whatever I can, because when it comes to Agonizing Torment, at least as far as I know, I have no recourse. There's not really much of anything that I can use here. Maybe I can do something really inventive, like maybe mind control some other mob and then engage this particular boss here. But in this case, because of the sanity gains that I'm going to get back in a fairly short amount of time, I just fight this guy and just take it. I just eat it. So I come at that with a little bit roughed up, but Goulash is helping take care of me, and I just re-engage and go for the next guy. Making sure that your dots are applied and reapplied here right before Chains of Servitude go off is pretty important. It's gonna help. It's gonna help quite a bit with getting them to push through a second transition phase quickly. You should see that in just a moment. And there we go. Not just that, but I just popped my Shadow Fiend there too. So if you can get any sort of extra damage out there before you get silenced, all the better. Since priests don't really have much in the ways of immunities, as in they don't. But with this guy cleared out, I'm back to close to full sanity. So everything worked out pretty well. And now it's time to clear stuff out. And maybe open a bonus chest. So after I was able to get this chest, I was able to get 2 points into, I forget the name of that talent, but the almost bottom tier talent. So I'm not super far off from getting Gift of the Titans, but I just want to try to demonstrate how you can clear this without the gift. Once you do get it though, to be honest, there's no walkthrough needed. I think you can just kind of smash through here without too much effort. But if you can't wait and you want to demonstrate and flex a little bit, go for it. Here's another green liquid that I'm able to score. Go me. And then one more cage. You're very welcome, guys, and now it's off to the Mage Quarter. So I didn't, I guess I did talk enough about the affix that we deal with in the Mage Quarter, but thankfully it's not leaden foot. So I'm able to approach this this affix a little bit differently. As in, I don't have to worry about being slowed down, which is great. So I'm trying to go through here very quickly. You can see I take quite a bit of damage going through here. So I'm dotting these guys up now. Better ahead of time, since their little field shrinks as they get lower in health. And then, of course, killing them will help too. But I focus mostly on the eye. The eye is the thing that's going to keep me in combat, along with all of the patrolling slimes. I dot up the tentacle up there. Get a little bit of damage in there. Get a little disoriented. And, of course, re-engage. So I have no gift to rely on. And I'm about to encounter one of the tougher guys in this vision, at least under certain conditions. Whenever I've been fighting this guy, I've noticed that I've had a much easier time than normal, whether it was this character or my main. It just wasn't as bad when I don't have to deal with leaden foot. Now, split personality is a different story. It's a different kind of thing that you need to look out for. And especially if you're using masks, it gets that much worse. So anyway, back to this particular run. I'm pulling these guys on the side, mostly because I want to take care of the Marshmallow dude, the Void Walker over there, because of his Void buffet, whatever you want to call it. The debuff is really, really substantial. Letting that stack, depending on the kind of character that you're running and the kind of resistances that you might have, if you have any defensive cooldowns, it can be a lot of trouble if you don't take care of that. The other alternative thing you can do, thanks to the stream for reminding me, is to cleanse yourself of that Void buff and debuff. That way, you can just re-engage, or you can stay engaged without having to worry too much about your life. So you can see here, I'm just blowing up the slime, and he goes down with very, very little trouble, which I'm super grateful for. I was really anxious about this one. Instead, it's here where I happen to be under more threats. The Portal Keeper and the Void Speaker, both of them can do Psychic Screams. There you just saw me get feared into the disorient, and meanwhile the Voidwalker is able to get a stack of his Void Buffet on there. But I'm able to cleanse it right away, and otherwise take him out. I could have done other things too. I could have used things like Shining Force to help interrupt, but just being able to cleanse the debuff without too much trouble, that's really helpful too. But now it's not off to my usual route, going through these buildings here and engaging the Portal Masters. This one isn't so bad. There aren't really any super threatening mobs here. This guy goes down without too much trouble at all. No cooldowns needed. Actually, I think I end up using Schism for that, but, well, you know, that's the typical order of operation. Take out the big threatening thing first, dot up the rest, hope that's your dots, or if you happen to have Echoing Void, hopefully that will take care of it too. Twilight Devastation would have been great here as well. So here I'm going for a worse combination. Here I got Psychic Scream into what could have been another split personality of flub, but thankfully it went away beforehand. Focusing that thing down, though, definitely helps with the damage reduction. Like, obviously, now that it went down, everything is a lot less threatening. Although, you know, of course, don't make mistakes and don't get yourself disoriented like I have been a number of times now. But now it's off to the second elite. And you want to try to engage this guy kind of at a distance at first, so that way when he starts using his Rain of Fire, that you're able to move out of it fairly quickly, or otherwise just get closer to the boss itself if you want to engage it in close range. I wanted to engage it in close range mostly because I have Echoing Void, and whatever damage that I can squeeze out, I'm going to do it. And thankfully, I take him out pretty quickly. So now it's time for Umbric. 2 orbs left, 1/3 sanity. I'm looking pretty good. It's just a matter of course, not making mistakes, not letting yourself get cocky, and dealing with some of the unavoidable sanity damage that Umbric will apply to you. So it's pretty important here, in my opinion at least, that you want to have full sanity, whether it is with a kebab, which I stopped eating at this point. I think I've gotten past the point where I feel like I need a kebab in order to get through, because a sanity orb will do the job. Save some gold. That's how you get rich. So here we go with the last orb. I'm sorry, the second to the last orb. And here we go, kicking it off with a Schism, and then popping whatever I can. So I try to, and unfortunately I fail to use my Mindbender in time. What your Mindbender can do, if it happens to engage with Umbric during this particular phase where you're trying to run to him and get into melee range, if you have a pet that can get to him, then it'll immediately break from it. You know, Umbric will immediately stop his cast and engage you normally again, which can be extremely helpful. For someone like a priest who doesn't really have much in the way of silences, unless I happen to be Shadow, this would actually be pretty helpful. Or did I say that right? Not sure. I think I might have jumbled some words there. Basically, if you can get your Mindbender out right before he does that little casty phase, the Mindbender will break him out, and it'll be cool. Cool things will happen. So it's time to engage Ilaria. I have 1 orb available, and I have a full sanity bar. But I want to play it safe. And unfortunately, I forgot to get cooldown pots. And so there's going to be a little bit of time here. I'm actually going to skip just a little bit ahead. I apologize. This isn't something that I normally do, but I'm going to skip a little bit ahead. And here we go. All right, so now it is about game time. I have cooldown pots available. Pop all the stuff and go to town. So whatever sanity damage that I take here is going to be negated, of course. So I just don't really care about staring. You know, if the eyeball happens to be staring at me, it's not a big deal in this case. When it comes to those explosives, I know that you guys loved reminding me that I can kick those things away. For the most part, it kind of distracts me a little bit, so I end up ignoring it more often than not, which is almost all the time anyway. But at this point, it's it's a bit of a mess when I do this run. It's kind of just a battle of attrition at this point. Can I keep reapplying dots? Can I keep throwing one attack, one attack after another? As long as I can keep throwing stuff out and keeping dots applied, she'll eventually go down. I mean, she only has 1.2 million life. It's not like a huge amount, so I can easily whittle her down. If I happen to be spec'd for having the extra life, it would be that much easier and more efficient for me to bring her down. Regardless, though, you can see that in just a few, in just a good minute or so, down she goes. And with that, I complete both my 5 chests of Orgrimmar and Stormwind. So go me. And here now we're starting to get those echoes of Nyalotha. Now I can start thinking about, what things can I use on my priest in case I want to move up and move higher and start doing mask runs. And I'm not sure. Maybe you can help me out with that. What would be good DPS essences for a discipline priest? Because I'm honestly not sure. At any rate, that's going to be it for me for now, and I'm going to continue doing low B vision runs on characters that I barely have an idea of what I'm doing. But yeah, I hope to see you for the next one. Please like the video if this was useful for you and your priest or whichever characters that you're using, and stay tuned for the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.